One of my absolute favorite things to do when I channel is to give people their stories back, specifically women. And that goes for when I do channeled history and channel in and talk to beings who lived in the ancient past, or I do ghost work or even spirit work, because so often those stories got taken from us. And I've been passionate about this for a really long time and doing this in channeling for a really long time. But Locusta is the first woman that I ever channeled in that I was like, I must write your story. She needed to have it returned to her so desperately. In fact, in my book, Locusta, about her life, my dedication is to her and to all other women who have had their stories stolen or hidden, despite the fact that they deeply controlled and had a foot in history. Locusta specifically was responsible for the poisoning of multiple emperors in ancient Rome, and some people who would have been emperors had she not poisoned them, as well as deeply influencing Roman politics around the time of the Julian-Claudian line. She eventually became so influential, she was actually given her own poison school. And yet she only exists within the context of a couple lines from some dead old white guys that lived 200 years after her. So when I channeled her in and I spoke to her and I actually learned her story, it was so fascinating and so liberating and such a beautiful way to examine the strength of women, especially given the context of the history that she was living in and the history we're living in. Both are deeply controlled by men. So through exploring her story, I also got to explore all these different ways that all these different women in ancient Rome found power and found safety and were able to survive and create impact on history despite the men around them telling them they were worthless. If you're like, I would love to read that, I'd love for you to read it too. I'm currently looking for a literary agent so that you can actually read. So if you're a literary agent and that sounds cool, I'd love to talk.